You've come to the right place. If you're a course creator looking to build more impact, income, and freedom, LMScast is the #1 podcast for course creators just like you. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I'm the co-founder of the most powerful tool for building, selling, and protecting engaging online courses called LifterLMS. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMScast. My name's Chris Badgett and I'm joined by a special guest, Marc Allen from biggerpiepromotions.com. Marc's got something for you over at biggerpiepromotions.com/friends. Welcome to the show, Marc.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me in your show.
Yeah, I'm stoked to get into it. Marc, I've learned a lot from him, and the guy is a strategic thinker, a copywriting pro, and he really can get inside the mind of an audience like I've never really seen before. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today and help the course creators and the membership site builders out there increase conversions, make their offer more valuable. But first, if we put on our, the entrepreneur hat and we get under the sales and marketing aspect of that, what is the difference between sales and marketing? And where do you like to focus your efforts? Like, what's your sweet spot in helping business owners increase profits?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. And I often think more of having a framework and like an analogy. So for me, marketing and sales is like in a basketball. Marketing is more on the dribbling and passing, and sales is more on the shooting the 3 points or having a layup or a dunk. So yeah, basically most people take a 3-point shot far away from their own court. That's why people are not converting, something like that, and that's the problem. So yeah, for me, the closer you are on the court, the easier the sale. But the question is how do you bring people closer to the basket, right? So how do you bring them closer to the basket so that you can get an easy layup or down?
I love that analogy. I'm just picturing somebody, it's a business owner, like on the far end of the court, bringing the basketball between their legs and just throwing it up in the air. That's what a lot of people are doing.
Exactly.
And the goal is to reduce friction. You're one of your like really specialties is around like offer creation and increasing the value of the offer. And I think in business, especially in teaching or offering some kind of training program, if you get the offer wrong, it doesn't matter what you do and where you try to like do a Hail Mary with the basketball and try to make it work. What makes a good offer?
Well, before I answer that, I think I just want to have some to help course creators have some clarity on what's really important when it comes to their messaging, because most people thought that it's all about the copy. It's all about the words and what's in their website, what's in their email, something like that. But in my experience, 60% of sales success comes from just by talking to the right people. If you're not talking to the right people, it's like selling hamburgers to a vegetarian. Whatever great offer or no matter how great is your copy, they will not buy because they just don't eat hamburgers, things like that.
So how do people end up in that situation where they're just talking to the wrong people, or they haven't, like, how does that happen?
Let's
say I have a fitness course, but it's like a certain type of training or a health transformation. Like, let's use that as an example. What might the creator of that be doing incorrectly to talk to the wrong people?
Well, I guess one of the biggest problems is people tend to focus on what's there in front of them rather than what's the end goal. Because basically, as you mentioned earlier, I focus on helping clients do offer makeovers so that to position their offers as much value as possible to increase to help their business grow their profit and transform more lives. And the problem is, I think uh, people just forget about their end goal. Like where do the funnel goes? What's the end goal? What will be the end goal for them? And just focus on the lead magnet. You know,
Yeah.
because if you focus on the lead magnet and you don't know where to go, and I think that's where the problem is. That's why they create a a converting lead magnet, but they don't convert those people into clients or into a customer because they focus on the wrong market. So what do you mean by focusing on the end goal is what's your what's your back end offer? You know, I think for example for the fitness course creators, is it a coaching program? Is it a 1 year 12 month mentoring program? Is that your end goal? And if that's the end goal, then the people you want to attract on the front end must be capable on buying your 12-month program or things like that, right? So yeah, I hope it
That
answers.
helps. So how do we let's say we want to do a high-end offer and you're helping with the offer makeover, and if we use our keep going with our example of a
Mhm.
fitness kind of transformation, and we want to make it um high ticket or not cheaply priced, like we'd prefer to work with a smaller number of people but give them really good service and
Correct.
have like a massive number of people without a lot of personal touch, but we want smaller paying more. How do we do sales in such a way that we're getting qualified buyers that have budget to afford this type of transformation work?
Yeah. Well, I think the importance on that, like I mentioned earlier, 60% of sales success is who you're talking to. So I think businesses who wins are businesses who understand their audience better than anyone else, right? So if you know your audience, like what do they really want, well, what do they buy? You know, if you have the what they call customer avatar, things like that, and you dial in not just the demographics or psychographics, but more on the psychology of how do those people think, what are they what are they really buying, right? It's not about the coaching program, and it's not about the it's not about you teaching them. It's more about the transformation that they're gonna get from your program. Is the is the is the solution help them lose weight or gain more muscles or things like that? Yeah.
That's cool. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, in terms of messaging and communication, one of the brilliant things that I learned from you is this idea that what do they need to believe
Mm-hmm.
before they can become a customer or make the buying decision just kind of a no-brainer, easy, not a lot of friction. Like there's like these core beliefs that if we're in alignment on those, then the selling is actually fairly easy. So
Correct. Mhm.
how do we, if we go from lead magnet, like we heard somewhere that like, oh, the best time to build, you have to build a big email list, focus on the email list. I know what you mean. People get really focused on the lead magnet and they start building an email list, which is good. But how do we go from belief to purchase and go through these beliefs, either like installing them or resurrecting them or just
Mhm.
talking about them? How do we do that?
Yeah, so that's really a good question because like like what I've said earlier, the marketing is like the passing and the dribbling. So those are that's the time where we have to establish belief, and the first belief is, I think, that people need to talk about uh, when, like, for example, when they get into the lead magnet and then you started emailing them and messaging them, is more about what's their present pain, you know like uh, because sometimes when you can explain the problem much better than the competition, your authority skyrocket, right?
So you're
Your
not even selling yourself. You're just talking about the problem.
Exactly, and you're
Yeah.
you're just And the key point here is you're just putting the flashlight on a different angle when it comes to explaining the problem. It's not like you're losing weight because you're not working out or you're not eating the right food. It's we can talk on a different angle. Like it's more about habit. The reason you're not losing weight is because it's not just your it's not yet your habit to do this, to do working out and eating the right food, things like that. And if you can shed the light on their current, on their present pain, and then you do it with a different angle, then you become, one of a kind in their eyes. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who went through a health transformation program with like a coach and got some seriously awesome results. And they were explaining to me how at the very beginning, this person was talking to them and a bunch of other people about like basically like who here doesn't like what you see when you look in the mirror, or and like who it like just looks at yourself and feels kind of disgusted, or you and basically he was positioning just the truth of what people felt, and then like at the end of it, like he was saying things like who here wants to look good naked, which is like it's a bold statement, but that my friend was describing how this room of people just really became alive, came all in, committed to the program, did the work. But he was just, it wasn't about the coach, it wasn't about the program, it was about these like the psychology of where these people were at, and like surfacing some of the even the pain, which is hard, but then being like, I'm here to help. And
Correct.
then and just being honest. It was not about building muscle, it was about something like liking what you see in the mirror or how somebody else perceives you. He was just being completely honest about the pain and the transformation.
Correct. So that's the first belief that we have to establish first, is being the person who can explain the problem better than anyone else. And then after that, I think the next belief that most, because we're doing the journey, right? We're having a journey here, and the next belief is the next question we must ask is why it's not working now. I mean, what are the things that they're currently doing, and why is it not working right now, right? So if you can answer that, and then again, the key here is to having at least an insight on why they're having the problem. I think that's very valuable, because information is right now is all over the place, right? We can easily Google how to lose weight online, and then find some content and information. So people don't need information right now. What they need is the wisdom to do what they need to do, and what they're not supposed to do. Yeah. So
and
I think that's lacking.
and people aren't you got to give people credit. They're not stupid or whatever. Like you're saying, it's not that they just, oh, now you found me, now here's a solution. They're probably trying some things that just isn't working, that maybe is even a popular belief in society, but it just doesn't work. They're trying to I don't know, do something like intermittent fasting or yo-yo dieting or something, but it's not, they're not fixing the problem and they bounce back or whatever. So you have to like, it's not that they're not trying or they're lazy or whatever. People are trying, they just might be trying the wrong things, right?
Exactly. So that's the reason why we're focusing on just shedding the light on a different angle, just so to help them having that aha moment, when it comes to your messaging. And I think after we talk about their present pain, and then we talk about why things aren't working right now for them, I think the next thing that is really powerful, that will make them ready for your offer, especially for high ticket offer, is that we must help them realize that what you're offering is different.
So differentiation, like
Differentiation,
yeah.
like what's different now from the things that they've tried in the past, right? And it's not about being the best or being the number one, although it's good to have a quality program. I'm not saying that you sell a crappy program, and just be different, but but people love to try new things, and if you can position yourself as the new solution for them and help them realize that this is the thing that they've never tried before, oh, you you'll make them so excited to want to know more about your program. Yeah.
Could you give an example of like good differentiation that people may be aware of, but they're not consciously aware of? Like, for example, I'm just going to throw some ideas out there, like
Yeah.
Apple products or Tony Robbins, or I'm trying to think of a famous kind of author person. Like David Allen has a book called Getting Things Done that's really popular in productivity
Correct.
circles.
Yeah.
I don't know, use those or something else. Like how's somebody famous we know really positioned as being different?
Yeah. For example, let's use the Apple as an example. What's good about Apple is that they really make their product different, that some of the features that are available out there are only available on Apple, things like that. Like they make it in a way, like a mini monopoly style,
Yeah.
yeah, where they have these iTunes and other apps and softwares that are only available through Apple. If you don't have an Apple, you cannot use that. So that's one of the differentiation. Another thing is, like, most people uh, are are not seeing the value of personal support, like your identity as the course creator, your uniqueness as the course creator. Most of the time, that's what makes you different among the rest. Your personality, your uniqueness, your core gifts that you can offer, and how you deal with people, things like that. Those are the things that makes you different. And people buy from people, not from businesses. So it's really important that if you can show your own personality and your own uniqueness on your marketing, then then the the ideal clients for you will naturally attract if you do that. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's often overlooked, where if you have like a similar program, I mean, there's like, if you look at weight loss, transformation, fitness, I mean, you can do different things and different styles, but at the end of the day, if as a coach or trainer or whatever, the way you make somebody feel, like while they're
Mhm.
going through the process, especially when they're being vulnerable and uncomfortable and like kind of committing to this big transformation, which is difficult, the way you make them feel in your communication and through your program, just emotionally, is
Yeah.
a point of differentiation. I mean, some people may want to be in some kind of military Navy SEAL style environment. And on the
Mhm.
opposite end of the spectrum, some people want to be in a really like calm, self-care, kind of go easy on yourself, like
Yeah.
nurturing environment. But those are very different, right?
Exactly. And what's good about being through and being authentic is that like attracts like, right? So you naturally attract the right people on your business if you just show your authenticity and true self on your marketing. And and I think that overlook is the right word that I'm looking earlier. And pardon me for, because my English is not my first language, so thank you for that. But what I'm trying to say is that on your marketing, that's the time where you answer those objections. Like what do you do, and how do you do it, things like that, and what's different for on your program than other programs out there. You do that on marketing, on the passing and dribbling, so that you put people closer to the whole. And when it comes to the actual sales, the goal is not to do any more convincing when they go to the sales part, because like I said, when you bring people closer to the basket, all you need to do is just lay it in, or if you're tall enough, you just dunk it in, and it's a sale, right? So yeah, that's the goal. And yeah, I think coming back to the beliefs, the last part will be more of like answering objections. So the first one is knowing their present pain, and then after that, you you we will tell them why it's not working right now, the things that they do, and then what's different from your offer and your solution. And then the next part of your marketing should be more about answering objections, the price objection, time objection, things like that. Yeah.
What's what's the difference between differentiation and positioning?
Yeah, well, that's really a good question, because when it comes to uh, positioning, I think that's more of like what you want to be, like what you want to be, perceived in the industry, right? Like, do you want to be this? Uh, do you want to be known for a high ticket, an expensive but valuable content, or you want to be perceived as more affordable, mass market coach or consultant, things like that. And differentiation is just more about what's different on your offer. Like, uh, what's the one thing that your offer has that the other programs out there doesn't have, that and most of the time, the other differentiation that you can do is your unique mechanism, or your unique method on how you do things. So yeah, I think positioning is more about what do you want to be perceived as an expert in your industry, and differentiation is more about your offer.
Very cool. I'm just channeling the course building community audience and stuff like that. And one of their fears is, well, if I need to talk to people about the beliefs and kind of surface the method and handle objections and do
Mhm.
differentiation and everything, there's a series of emails there. They have a fear of like, I don't want to send too much email. Like, what's going on there, and how can we get them through that idea or
Yeah.
that fear of like, I don't. Sometimes people have a fear of marketing,
Yes.
maybe because
Mhm.
they had a bad. They think it's like the used car sales lot or the I don't know. Just they have this image in their mind of a salesperson, and they don't want to be that.
Correct. And I totally understand that. I have an I started doing sales back in 2010, so I know the type of I have basically, a deep understanding on why people have that fear on sending too much emails, things like that. And it all boils down with, again, talking to the right talking to the right people, because uh, whatever whatever messaging you do for the right people, no matter how many you send, like I know some marketers who are sending email every single day, and his people love it
Yeah,
because he's talking to the right who,
yeah.
because yeah, people there are into his information, his content. So they don't care if that guy send send them an email every day, right?
They look
But if
forward to it.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, they're looking forward to it. It's
Yeah.
like part of their daily habit, reading
Yeah.
their email. But for the wrong people, you try to send them at least, two times two times a week. They will be, they will be
Upset.
annoyed. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it all boils down with finding the right who, and just targeting that ideal person that you want to target. Yeah.
I want to get into some copywriting tips. If we're in the content of an email, what are
Hmm.
some guiding principles or simple rules for writing effective emails
Yeah.
that you
Well,
have?
good.
Like, what's some
Yeah,
general advice?
exactly. So that's a good question. And just going back to the, like I've said that 60% of sales success comes from talking to the right who,
Mhm.
and just want to finish that formula. For me, 30% comes from having the right offer, and then 10% coming from the copy, because the copy will bridge the person, your offer to the person, right? So even though copy is just 10%, it's like, and uh and you don't value copy that much, it's like saying that your heart is just 10% of the body, and your heart is not important, right?
Right.
so yeah, when it comes to copywriting, especially in emails, or like the Facebook post, or Facebook post in the groups, because that's what's, what's in right now. Uh, I think you have to think about having three sales during that conversation. The first sale that you must do is to get their attention. So that's the first sale that you need to have. The second sale is about helping them, making the copy enticing enough for them to to read the rest of the copy, right?
Hmm.
And the last sale will be the call to action. So what are you planning to do with your email? So basically, the first sale is all about the subject line, right?
Yeah.
So so how do you get their attention? So most of the time, people write, boring subject line, because it's what they're planning to say inside their email, which is fair enough, right? You just want to give them a preview of what's coming on your email, but if it's not enticing enough, if it don't get their attention, you will not be able to send them the message that you have,
Let
right?
me just give a really bad example. Like if you were doing an email mini course as a lead magnet where you have like a series of emails to help people in some way, if your
Hmm.
subject line is email lesson number one, it's
Correct.
very boring and it's
Exactly. Yeah.
you're not
And
even
then,
talking, you're not even hinting about the content of the or the result they're going to get by reading the email. It's you've just lost a big opportunity there.
yeah, correct. And it's like, when you're talking to a new to a stranger, the first thing that you want to do is to have something that will make them stop, that will make them stop. And whether but I'm not saying that it's, you write a spammy subject line like hey, or Mark, or Chris,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think email service providers know the what most direct response marketers do. So they I don't know that term, but I think they tag it like a spam words, if you do what most of the direct response marketers do. So
Yeah, there's like some certain phrases like if you use the word free, if you use the word money, if you gift, I think, or something. There's some certain ones that like flat that make you more likely to end up
yeah,
in the spam folder.
exactly. That
Yeah.
will affect your deliverability. Correct.
Yeah. Um well we like hook them with some curiosity in the subject line. How do we like what are some do's or even more importantly some don'ts to when it comes to the body of the email?
Uh, well, I think when what most people do when it comes to writing the body of the email is that they think like a writer,
Like a novel writer.
like a novel writer. Like you have to have this many sentences before you have a paragraph, things
Yeah.
like that. But if you do that on email, and you see a and you look at your phone and you see uh, an email full of text, a wall of
Block.
text,
Yeah.
a block of text, then you'll not read that, right? So I guess a simple tip that I always do is just make it readable as possible. One short sentences, and then one medium, and then one long sentence, and then play around like that. Mhm.
One of the things I noticed about your copywriting, which is awesome, is there's a lot of like there's like short sentences, there's a lot of space, there's questions, there's like dot dot dot. There's like conversational copy.
Correct.
It's not like a thesis about something. You're
Yeah.
If we're trying to surface a belief,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of, it's more of a conversation and like checking in and questions, and then it like kind of bubbles up and it's there.
Yep.
And there's just like one call to action. Like there's not like links all over the place. It's like we may repeat the call to action, but you're not like trying to sell everything in one email.
Yeah, exactly. Because on your email, you don't have enough, attention for one email. So the goal is, what the beauty of email and posts, and your ongoing marketing, is that you can always do a new email. You can always send new email, right? So you don't have to put everything on one email, right?
Yeah.
and and I think it's very important to understand that uh, you want to write your email just like you're writing to a friend, right? Because when we look at our phone and it's coming from a friend, we always take time to read it, right? We always see, at least give us enough seconds to be hooked enough to see what's happening in their lives, right?
Yeah. Like a blog post or an email, I like to, especially if I know it's a really important one, I'm going to
Mhm.
read it out loud because I want to
Correct.
hear what it sounds like as somebody reads it in their head, not just me like being quiet reading it on the screen. And because I wrote it, I kind of already know what it's going to say. But when you read it out loud, you kind of hear it for the first time.
Yep. That's right.
While we're on copywriting, one of the areas I see course creators struggle with is, or let's say it's a program that includes coaching and all kinds of stuff, or monthly, some kind of membership, recurring revenue situation where we're doing some training. What it's the description, like it's the sales page of the course or the program or the membership.
Hmm.
Um, what are some tips you have on, like, even at the very beginning, like naming the thing, and then also how to describe it in like the description or the sales copy? Like what are the components that we should put in there?
Yeah, like naming the products.
The course, yeah, I see a lot of people get hung up. I mean, I think that it's one of the original it's where course creators first run into the business of copywriting is,
Yeah.
what should I name my course? I'm an expert in like fitness transformation or like weight loss transformation. Like, what should I call it?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it helps to have, your own, like most copywriters, they have their own swipe files, you know,
Yeah.
like like titles, headlines, or emails, sales pages that caught their attention, and then just compile that. Because just by having that swipe file, you can see what are the titles and headlines that are selling, right? So you can use that to model how you will name your course, things like that. And when it comes to description, what I like telling my clients is that when it comes to your description, you sell the what and not the how, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, most people try to tell everything on their description page, right, on their sales page, tell all of to tell because like most of the experts, we are passionate about what we're talking. So we want to help as many people as possible. And and the challenge with that is we tend to we tend to over explain and do so many writing that aren't necessary on our sales page. And just the goal of your sales page is to be to sell what they say is to sell the sizzle and not the steak, right? To have that enough interest for them to take action. So so I think that's the tip that I could give for the description.
What's the role of like the whole concept of social proof or proof? Like, what does that do? like when we have a testimonial or we have some kind of reviews,
Mm-hmm.
like should we do that? How does it work? Like what does
Yeah.
that do in the psychology?
Well, it means a lot, especially today in today's world where people can easily look at the internet for reviews, on what other people are saying about your program, things like that. So I think having some testimonials and having that social proof that people like your programs and that they actually get the transformation that you promise, I think that's really helpful. The challenge is not all course creators have the resources to ask for testimonials right away, especially the new ones, right? So in my experience, the second best proof that you can show is that just having a unique way of telling telling things, like having a unique way of telling their present pain, what's not working on them, what's different with your product. Because if you can give people that aha moment, you know, uh, they will follow you, and they will respect you, and they they will give you high respect because have you help them give that aha moment or breakthrough in their minds, right? And as my mentor says, uh, he said that in my own words, that people people tend to follow an authority uh, for their lives until someone comes in their lives and actually solve their problem, right? Because not everyone is their own their cup of tea. Like I don't know how you tell that, but
So there's like a celebrity that you might follow, and then you meet a real authority that impacts you, right? Yeah.
exactly, like there's an authority that you follow for years and years, but there's someone who's unknown but actually helps you, give you insights and transform the direction of your business. Or I think that's powerful. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's like a chicken or egg thing. Like if you want more authority, you have
Uh-huh.
to like you come in as an unknown, you help
Uh-huh.
people, and then that gives you authority. So,
Exactly, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I wanted to ask about webinars. It's never been easier, and I see it in the course building community becoming more and more popular, especially
Mhm.
for people who are offering premium price programs
Correct.
that it's difficult to sell more than $1,000 without like a webinar or a sales call. But let's just focus on a webinar where there's like a sales conversion event and
Hmm.
there's an opportunity for somebody to ask questions in chat or even speak live on the webinar and offer their questions or objections or whatever.
Hmm.
And let's say we have a lead magnet. We go through this email series and like we work on the beliefs, the pain and the beliefs and the positioning and the differentiation. And then we go to a webinar because we're selling a $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 program that we really need to present
Yeah.
that and have an opportunity for Q&A.
Hmm.
And we're running it live. You know, the tools have never been easier, whether it's Zoom or GoToWebinar or there's
Correct.
other tools out there. How, like, I see what a lot of people be like, yep, I need a webinar. And then they get the tool and then they're like, they publish a registration page or whatever, and then they get on the webinar, but they haven't really thought about what are we going to do in this 1 to 2 hours? What
Yeah.
should they do?
Yeah. Well, that's really a problem for most course creators, right? Because most course creators, I believe, are experts in their field, but not in the actual presenting their, presenting on webinars, things like that. So I think
And maybe start with how is a webinar different from email? Like what it's not, we're doing something different here. What are we doing?
correct. Yeah. When it comes to webinar, and as you said, that in a way it's hard to sell high ticket stuff just doing emails. Although
And sales
although
pages.
yeah, and sales pages. although that's what we do on bigger pie promotions.
Yeah.
But when it comes to webinar, I think the value of webinar is having the opportunity for them to actually see you in action, right?
So it's like you're being tested, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the closest thing to a live seminar, a live event where you actually have a personal experience with the other person, right? So I think webinar is really powerful. The challenge today is more and more people are seeing webinars. That's why, in a way, people are depending on the market, of course, but in a way, people are becoming more sophisticated. That when it comes to webinar, they already know that at the end of that
There's a pitch.
there will be a sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
So that's why when for the webinar, I think it's very important to focus on solving on that webinar, solving their present pain, their current problem. And you don't have to help them actually transform their lives during the webinar, but just help them solve their current problems, like uh, the mindset and the insights on what they need to do differently, things like that, so that uh, you actually help them right during the webinar.
So the webinar is not just a giant sales pitch. You're getting them some kind of results, even if it's early stuff like mindset shifts and things.
Correct. And I think the tip here is just look for the fastest, the easiest problem to solve, and then
Low
solve it.
hanging fruit, right?
Yeah, the low
Easy
hanging fruit,
wins.
easy
Yeah.
wins. Yeah, go for easy wins because it's like having a relationship. You go on a first date, and then before you ask them to go steady with you, right? You don't just go to a stranger and ask them to marry you or become their long-term partner, right? So
How do you, if we're doing some like kind of live training and we're being tested and we're trying to deliver some kind of result, even to the people that don't end up buying, and
mhm.
how do we transition from the main content to the sales pitch gracefully? Like, how do we
Oh
turn that corner? How do we turn the corner into the offer?
yeah, well, that's really a good question because like I've said, like you mentioned earlier about the imagining business people trying to make a long 3-point shot on the backcourt,
Yeah.
right? So the smooth transition for a webinar is during the first, I think, three maybe three-fourths of the webinar is where you establish and answer the questions or establish the core belief that they need to have before you offer a webinar. Basically, the content is more about prepping them to buy your program. So it's when it comes to the technical part, it's more of like, so you already know this problem, you have this problem, and you know why this is not working right now, and what this is what you need to do differently, and this is the solution. And if you wanna learn more, if you wanna go deeper with this, then let me help you, and then offer them something.
That's awesome. Um, as we get towards the end here, I just wanted to ask, since you really specialize in um, offer makeovers and increasing conversions and sales, especially at that offer point there at the end. What are the main objections in any market that people have at the point of buying? Like
Well,
what are the main objections there?
yeah, that's really a good question because uh, um, this is one of the I think one of the game changer in the way I do business right now is that typically there are five main objections that people have, and that is time, and then identity, and then money, and then energy, and then reputation. So
Oh,
my my mentor called it timer, so the timer principle. So basically what we need to answer when it comes during the end of our sales campaign is that we have to answer the time objection, identity objection, money objection, energy objection, and then reputation. And then most of the question that I was asked about what's the difference between identity and reputation, right? Because yeah, that's my question too before. And for me, identity is more about like what they see about themselves. So is your program uh, will make their family respect them or things like that, or will their friends adore them if they get your program, and when it comes to reputation, it's more about, that's the reputation. When it comes to identity, it's more on how you how you feel when you buy that program. Like, do
How
you
you see
feel,
yourself.
yeah, how you see yourself, like,
And
uh
reputation is how others see you, I guess.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So when it comes to identity, it's like when it's like when for me personally, as a buyer, as a customer of course online courses, there's a sense of fulfillment when I buy the program that I really like, especially if it's related to what I currently do right now. So if you can help them, make them feel that way, that having your program or being theirs, being yours, making them feel that being your student is an awesome thing, you know so that's one of the objections that you handle, that's very valuable. And then for the time thing, it's more about that the time that they need to invest in your program. If you can answer that beforehand, that's cool. And money stuff, it's really common,
Budget.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the budget. And when it comes to money, I think the very valuable that you can the best thing that you can do to answer that objection is that to make your course like a no-brainer, like if you can take all the risk in a way, or make the risk as low as possible for them, and
I just
that
want to
will.
share some of Mark's brilliance here. He helped me with this at LifterLMS, and we have a Infinity bundle, which, as of this recording, costs $1,000. And he broke it down to if you're paying daily for that, that's like $2 a day, and it's an investment. And what can you get for $2? You can get a cup of coffee, you can get all this stuff, and you were showing how, and it's like your business. It's you basically had a really elegant way of explaining, like, yes, it is an investment, but this is how it actually breaks down. So it was just brilliant. And
Yeah. Mhm.
it's there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just like, don't worry about the money, or it's expensive,
Exactly.
deal with it. It's like there's a
Yeah,
whole psychology people have around money, right?
exactly. Yeah, and that's the perfect example of shedding the flashlight on the problem, on the objection, on the different angle, right?
Hmm.
You're just helping them see their problem on a different different perspective. So yeah. And then for the energy objection, it's more about just answering the question of having the pain of change, that doing what you want them to do for that's on your program, that pain of change is less than the pain of having the same problem that they have. If you can make them realize that if they could change right now, if they can do something different right now, their life will change forever.
That's awesome. Well, in our final question here, let's just run a case study through this. Like, let's look at the weight loss health transformation course.
Hmm.
Um, what are how do you justify or make the case for time, money, identity, reputation, and energy? Just using that example.
Okay. For example, what's the it's a weight loss program, right?
Yeah, it's a health transformation, weight loss. Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah, for example, it's a weight loss program. So the timer, the time objection could be, how long will it take to see, to see result in my body, things like that, or how long, yeah, how long it will take to see the results. So for that, you can answer, you can answer, you know the question through, like, it depends, of course it depends. It depends on how much investment they, how much time investment they will put during the program, and how long they will stick to the routine, or on the diet, right? But if they can stick to the, to your program, and then you can promise, like, it depends, maybe if they can invest, 30 minutes a day by doing what you do, uh, they will have result, then you can say that. When it comes to identity, of course, it will all depend on what you do before answering this objection, because uh, they don't know you yet, right? But if
Mhm.
they know you, and if they respect you, and if they follow every words that you say, then just by being your student, being one of your few student, will be an identity booster. And then for the money thing, one of the thing that you can do is that it depends on your offer. But if, let's say, we're offering a high ticket 12-month program, coaching program, to lose, let's say, 50 pounds in 12 months, right? So so what you can do to answer their money objection is to answer uh this thing, like, what I call it, investment value qualifier. Like, you can lose weight, you can lose 50 pounds in 12 months, as long as, most of my students lose 50 pounds in 12 months, as long as they do this workout and then have this diet, right?
Yeah.
So just positioning your offer that, you focus on the value that they're getting rather than the money that they're investing, and focus on the transformation that you will have rather than the price. you know and then for the energy thing, just, if your program can do miracles by doing the workout 30 minutes a day, then you can tell that, right? And then, of course, for the reputation, if they lose weight, and if they actually hit their goal, what will their family say about him or her, right? How would they, how would their coworkers treat them, or things like that, or like the respect that they will get out of, just by doing your program. So those are the things that you can tell during your webinar or sales campaign, email campaign, and yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Marc Allen, you can find him at biggerpiepromotions.com/friends. What can they find over there?
Oh well. I prepared for you guys. This is for, because Chris Badgett is very special to me, and I want to help his audience to improve conversion, and to convert their audience into sales and customers. So I prepared you a three simple email template that you can use right away to see, to convert your audience into customer. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's super generous of you, Marc. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing so much today. You added so much value
Yeah.
that I'd encourage the listener to go back, listen to this again, take notes, and then take action on what you're learning. Because Marc, I was trying to mine Marc for as much value as I could, and we covered a lot from, just sales, the buyer journey, beliefs, emails, webinars, handling objections. We've kind of gone all the way through. So thank you so much for coming on
Yeah.
the show and sharing your
Yeah.
wisdom with us.
And I hope you learn something and have some, a bit of insight on what you can do differently, because that's really the goal of this uh, interview. And I hope, uh, my my uh, my being here actually help you and grow your business.
Awesome. So Marc Allen, he's at biggerpiepromotions.com/friends. Thank you so much, Marc. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. See you later.
And that's a wrap for this episode of LMScast. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I hope you enjoyed the show. This show was brought to you by LifterLMS, the #1 tool for creating, selling, and protecting engaging online courses to help you get more revenue, freedom, and impact in your life. Head on over to LifterLMS.com and get the best gear for your course creator journey. Let's build the most engaging, results-getting courses on the internet.